how many rental properties do you have to invest in to retire or to hit financial freedom? Whichever way you want to look at it. I think those two words are more or less synonymous. Retirement suggests some level of financial freedom because you're not having to work for your money and your expenses are being covered. Financial freedom essentially allows you to live like you're retired. What does retirement look like? What do people who are retired do? Well, they basically do whatever they want because they're not tied to a job. So that's why those two words really are pretty similar. So back to the question at hand. If you're going to be a rental property investor, how many properties do you need to hit financial freedom or to retire? Well, what has to happen in order to constitute retirement and financial freedom? Your expenses need to be covered. So that way you're not required to work in order to pay your expenses. So then the question is, and follow me here, start writing these steps down on a sheet of paper. First step, determine what your expenses are every month. Let's say that with everything included, your mortgage or your rent payment, your auto loan, your grocery bill, your pets bill, your fun money, make sure you're still going out and having a good time, activity money, insurance. God, what are all our expenses every month? Let's say yours total $3,000 a month. So step one, figure out what your expenses are. Step two, figure out or look at what cash flow are the rental properties bringing in. So, and hopefully at this point you want to, don't just dive into rental properties hoping to achieve financial freedom. You actually need to understand rental properties and how to run the numbers and how to find these properties. So that's a whole different conversation and many more videos. But you find rental properties that let's say they cash flow $200 a month. So most months you put $200 in your pocket after your rental property expenses are paid. So step one, figure out your personal expenses that you need covered in order to retire. Step two, look at what the said rental property is going to bring in cash flow. Let's say it's $200 a month. So step three, work backwards. If you need $3,000 a month in passive income to cover your expenses, how many of these $200 cash flowing rental properties do you need? Well, I'll pull out my handy dandy calculator here. 3,000, your expenses, divided by 200, which is how much you're making in cash flow. That means you need 15 of those properties to get to that 3,000 mark in order to hit financial freedom. So if you have 15 rental properties that cash flow $200 a piece, you're going to have $3,000 a month in passive income. Therefore, technically, you could retire. Now, there's caveats to this, like you want to make sure you have money in a nest egg and a savings account, because what if for some reason some of those properties don't perform in a particular month? What if you have an unexpected expense, which we all know what happens? I'll tell you a funny story. One of my checking accounts is called Oh Shit Checking. And it was really funny because I had to call the bank about something and it was pertaining to that account. And she said, what were we talking about? She was trying to reference that account and she goes, so this is for, that account. And I was laughing and she said, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that word. But this particular checking account is actually called Oh Shit Checking because it's my emergency fund. So it's for the oh shit events. Anyways, I digress. So, if your expenses are exactly $3,000 a month and your passive income is exactly $3,000 a month, you might be opening yourself up to, a little bit of risk because you need a nest egg, you need a savings account, you need a no shit account. So be cognizant of those dynamics, but ultimately that's what you're aiming for, is figuring out what your expenses are every month. And maybe to mitigate the nest egg and all that, let's say that your actual expenses are $3,000 a month, but you want to just say $4,000 to be conservative. So then pull out the calculator. If I need $4,000 in passive income and I have rental properties that can pay $200 a month, I now need 20 properties. So if I have 20 of these rental properties, I'm making $4,000 a month, and that's fantastic because if my expenses are only $3,000, that's a great savings every month. Like I can put that back towards the properties. I can put it in the oh shit account. I can do whatever I want. So it's just as simple as doing the math. Figure out what number for you would constitute financial freedom. Now, if you live in Los Angeles like I do, that 3,000 is not going to get you very far. So, be real about your expenses, add in a buffer, and then work backwards. Find and not every property you get is going to do exactly $200. Maybe one gets $100, maybe one gets $300, maybe some get two, and buying 15 to 20 rental properties, that's not an overnight thing, and it's it's going to require some creative financing and all that, but at least in that realm you can start kind of comprehending, like, it's both the good news and the bad news. 15 to 20 rental properties is kind of a lot. Like, it can be, and it can seem, you're going to have to get creative financing because you can only get 10 mortgages and blah blah blah. But while it can seem intimidating, it also doesn't seem like a lot when you're thinking in terms of financial freaking freedom. Like, if that's all it takes for you to hit actual financial freedom, that's cool. Like, it'll take some work to get there, but that's, if I think of financial freedom, I'm like, I'd have to own like 250 properties. Turns out maybe it's only 20. So that's huge. So here's a quick hack that I'm going to offer you. As far as, let's see, how do I want to describe this? Or I feel like I'm telling you a secret that I wasn't actually going to tell you. So financial freedom, cash flow. Oh yeah, I'm going to tell it to you. Okay, here's the deal. You hear of baby steps, or put one foot in front of the other, step by step. This is exactly how you want to build your rental property portfolio anyways. So if your goal is financial freedom and you need 20 properties to achieve this, like I said, on the downside, that can seem intimidating when you're first starting. Later on, it's like, that's all I need. But for the intimidation factor, here's a little hack that I pondered whether I should share, but I definitely am going to share it. So don't just think of, oh my God, I need the $4,000 a month, like ASAP. Think of it one step in front of the other. So what is your, let's say your car payment is $400 a month. Well, guess what? As soon as you have 2 rental properties, your car payment is like free. So instead of aiming for the full financial freedom right away, aim for particular things. Get your car payment covered. Get your grocery bill covered. How many would it take to cover your rent or your mortgage? What's your insurance payment every month? Your insurance payment's probably low enough where one property would cover that and then some. So there's a mindset thing about this, and that's why I call it a hack, is little success, little success, little success, little success. Suddenly, you're going to have a big pile of successes. Whereas if you're only focused on getting all 20 and getting all of your expenses covered at once, that could feel a little daunting, and you might be potentially triggered to call it quits because it may seem like you're never going to get there. But break out your expenses one by one and get enough properties to fill, okay, insurance bill done, grocery bill done, hot dog, and then do that all the way until actual financial freedom. So check out the link below. I have a 10-step guide to financial freedom that you can download for free. And I also have an article that kind of also breaks down the math. It's everything I explained, but it's like, how feasible is financial freedom? And what people don't realize is it might be a little more feasible than you think, because it doesn't take quite as much as you think. Again, caveat that, be conservative with it. It's not, you're not just going to skirt out, but, but all in all, not a bad deal.